Welcome back, friends. And if you're new here, I'm Sonja, and this is DIYs with Sonja, where I bring you high-end home decor looks for way less. Today, we are officially kicking off the fall DIY season, and I could not be more excited. I'm blending cozy fall inspired DIYs with timeless everyday home decor, and we're starting off strong with some high end Pottery Barn dupe DIYs that look straight out of a catalog but cost just a fraction of the price. So, if you love budget friendly DIY home decor, Pottery Barn inspired fall projects, and getting that designer look for less, you are definitely in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you're ready for all the elegant fall decorating ideas coming your way. Let's jump into today's cozy, classy, and affordable fall DIYs. First project that I'm going to be creating, I have a tremendous savings here for you. I did pick up this vase for $5, but this is not the item that I'm going to be duping. Over on Pottery Barn, I had found this vase, this look actually, the vase with hydrangea bundle, and the hydrangea bundles here is $70. But I really love this whole look, and that's what I'm going to be recreating. So as you can see, my vase was a little bit taller and a little bit thinner, but I think I can achieve that same look. Now for the hydrangea flowers, I did get mine out of the garden, and if you let your hydrangeas dry in a vase, they will get that dusty green look to them a little bit, and they do last for quite a while just sitting in a vase with no water or anything like that. But I did look over on Amazon, as well as I've seen a couple of the one Timu had a few for a lot less than just than $70. I think the most expensive one was on Amazon Canada for about a 40, but you get a much larger bundle. So look around your garden. You might find the fall foliage that you like, and it looks really nice in your vase. So to get this vase painted, I am going to be, so as you saw, I mixed white and creamy color paint. This is chalk paint, so it's a lot thicker. I was going to add flour to it to make it even more thicker, but my cream colored old ochre chalk paint was pretty dry, so it was actually quite thick, as you can see. The reason why I mixed the two colors is because the old ochre was too yellowish, and the white was too bright. So I just wanted to kind of tone down the brightness of the white. So that's why I mixed them. And I am applying a fairly thick layer because I want that thickness to show in the vase. So I forgot to mention that I will leave the links to the Amazon hydrangeas that I found in the description box in case if you wanted to venture out and get some for yourself. Also, Dollarama, if you're located in Canada, I've seen hydrangea flowers there as well. I've never seen them at Dollar Tree, but definitely at Dollarama. At Michael's store, I did not see that color, although I do know that my mother-in-law had gotten herself some hydrangeas like that a while back, so it's worth looking into it. I was just checking on the website. I think making over vases is one of the most affordable ways to add those look for less high-end dupes to your decor, because they tend to be a lot cheaper at thrift stores, and usually you can find the style of them like the high-end stores have them, and with a little bit of paint you can achieve that high-end look. So right now I am just trying to blend, so there's none of the brush strokes are showing, and I'm just using a crafter sponge to do that. Since I like to show you everything, I will show you this step as well, but I do find that this did not really add much to the vase. I wanted to just darken the certain spots just a little bit, but I didn't want to go too much with this brown because I feel like it has a bit of a purplish tinge to it. So I went really, really lightly just to dab on. But you can completely skip this step if you wanted to and just move on to the next step. And the next step is optional as well. If you want, you can just leave it at this point, or you can go and get some dirt and get dirty. My camera ran out of space, my card, so I had to resort to my phone. So here we are. So all I take is before the vase completely dries, I just add some dirt to it, sprinkle it. You want this to be, for this particular project, you want the dirt to be dry. I've done projects where the dirt is wet and then it just kind of paints everything, but then you can't sprinkle it on and the vase has to be dry. So I let this dry completely, and then once it's dried completely, I take a brush and I just brush the dirt off and kind of try and blend it in a little bit. And that's it. And now I went out to my garden and clipped some hydrangeas, added them to my vase, and here it is on my shelf. I think it turned out so nice, and I think it's a pretty close dupe for the one at Pottery Barn and for a lot less. Now, this one was definitely inspired by Instagram reels that I've been watching, or TikTok reels. I picked this spider up at Dollar Tree for $1.50, and I wanted to give it a more of a nicer look. So I'm just adding some Mod Podge, which was suggested by one of my subscribers. It just makes the paint stick to the surface a little bit easier, because this type of material is a material that the paint will slide right off. So the first step was to add Mod Podge everywhere where I was going to paint it. I did actually end up painting it in another spot that I did not add Mod Podge because it's just the way I operate, but nevertheless the paint worked out fine. Now, this is not necessarily an outdoor item, but it could be if that's what you wanted to use it. I'm actually using it as a candle holder. I'm using a heavy candle that I placed on it on my coffee table. I think this just adding gold to it made it look really high end and expensive. You've seen these at HomeSense ranging anywhere from $9.99 up to $30. So I am quite happy that I managed to do this one for under $2. Moving on to my next project, I have had these pumpkins now for a while, and they've been just sitting in my bin. This one that I'm cutting out is from Dollar Tree that I have painted, and the next one is from the thrift store. That was actually one of my very first fall DIYs that I've ever made on my other channel, and I've painted it in duck egg blue. I'm going to be recreating this look. I absolutely love these candles from Pottery Barn, but at over $100 for a small one, I think it's just a little too pricey. And I'm going to be achieving that look by getting these tea light candles, the battery operated tea lights that I picked up at Dollar Tree for $1.50. So my project cost me $1.50, but if you were to get the 2 pumpkins from the dollar store, it would be extra $3. So again, another project that's coming in under $5, and this is for two, whereas that's a price for one. So I think this is a great savings again, and you can get pretty close to that look. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm just going to cut out holes big enough to fit my tea lights. Now, I was originally going to paint these, but I am quite happy with the color that they are at. I will be whitewashing them just to achieve that look that the Pottery Barn candles have. But I think that will be the extent of this project. There's not a lot of involvement, but if you wanted to paint these, you can definitely paint them any color you want. They don't even have to be the colors that the Pottery Barn has if those colors don't suit your decor. But you definitely want to make sure that you cut the holes big enough that you can stick those tea lights in tightly so that way they don't fall through. But they're not hard to take out because you're going to want to be turning those on and off. So once the holes were big enough for my tea lights, I went ahead and mixed my white paint with some water. And you want this to be fairly watered down so that way you can just brush the paint on and then brush it, clean it off. And I will just use a rag to wipe it off. This is a fairly easy thing to do, and I'm adding the paint into the creases, and then like I said, I'm going to blend it or wipe it off with a rag. So I just want to say, if this is your first time stopping by, welcome. My name is Sonja, and here on this channel I share tons of different high-end dupes as well as furniture makeovers, and I am very excited for what the next few months what I have in store for you guys for next few months. So I would love it if you considered subscribing and becoming a part of my YouTube family. I am so very pleased with the way these turned out, and I can't wait to start using them in my decor. And I love the fact that the Dollar Tree tea lights flicker a little bit, so it kind of gives it that even more that high-end look. So for my next DIY, I am going to be recreating these pumpkin pillows or fabric pumpkins. They don't necessarily have to be pillows, depending on which size you go for, I guess. As you can see, they range from $42 to $59. Mine was free since I went into my stash of different fabrics because I have a laundry basket full of fabric scraps under my table, so I just wanted to grab something that would work. The ones on the picture are more of like a Sherpa almost style, which you can totally create that with blankets. You can find lots of blankets, different styles of blankets at thrift stores. Dollarama carries blankets as well that you can pick. I actually picked one up for my fall decor that I'm going to be styling with just recently for $5, which I thought was a pretty good deal, and that's pretty much what they range in price at the thrift stores as well. So I had found this piece of burlap big enough for what I was going to do. So I'm just going to hot glue two sides, but you want to hot glue three sides. I just folded mine, so that's why. But if you have two pieces that you're attaching together, you want to have them glued on three sides and leaving one open. Then once you have hot glued them and they are no longer hot and the glue had set, you want to turn it inside out, and then you want to go ahead and stuff it. Now, you could stuff it with many things. I have done similar projects where I just took plastic bags and I stuffed it in because I had lots of plastic bags. That is no longer the case since we don't have plastic bags anywhere. But I did have an old pillow with some stuffing in it. The only problem that I ran into, the pillow stuffing is kind of stuck together, and it was really hard to separate and make it kind of form. I think if you were to buy brand new pillow stuffing, it would be a lot more fluffier. But I made it work regardless. So once you fill it as much as you want to fill it, you can have it firmer. You can have it also more like softer. That is totally up to you. So once you fill it, you grab the top and you bunch it up, and then this is where you tie it up shut. And then you're going to take some rope and just wrap it around so you can create those pumpkin lines. And this is a great time to manipulate the stuffing as well and kind of make sure that all the little grooves are the same size. Mine was giving me a little bit of a hard time, but I think I did do a pretty good job at the end. And once you've got your pumpkin the way you want it to look, you're going to work on the stem, and for that I was using nautical rope, and I started at the bottom and wrap it all the way around the top. I also cut my top a little bit just because I thought it would have been a little too long. Put the hot glue at the bottom, like the starting point of the start, and then I finished it off with the hot glue at the top. And then you can also manipulate it, kind of bend it any way you want to. It will bend. And here it is. I think it turned out really nice. I do like it. I think it's gonna go great with my more natural decor that I'm going for this fall. And like I said, you can use any fabric that you want for this. I am going to be starting with a wreath. I am going to be making 2 of them. And for this, I had purchased these mini skulls at Dollarama, as well as this moss and some ravens. These all came from Dollarama. The twine wreaths I had on hand. These were actually my old fall decor wreaths that I had taken apart because last year I had purchased some new hay wreaths that I wanted to have, so I kept these. I did use them at springtime, but they have been just sitting on the shelves ever since then. So I did take my Athenian black chalk paint, and I'm going to add a little bit of water to it because it is kind of at its end and it gotten a little thick, and I wanted to water it down as much as I could. And I'm going to just dab some paint all over these wreaths. I'm not looking for full coverage. I just wanted to add a little bit of black to the wreath. Now you can buy these wreaths at Michael's. I think I've seen them for around $30 that are fully black, if that's what you would like to do. I often just go to Value Village and buy random wreaths just for the twine. Is it twine or is it wine? Twig wreath. So that way I can just take everything off and use it for my DIY that I will be making. It's a lot cheaper. Usually I can pick up a wreath for around $5. And sometimes I'm even able to use the stuff that's on it for different types of DIYs. So I do this for both because if you are new to my channel, I have 2 front doors, and this year I want to go for Halloween theme in a more of a hocus pocus theme for Halloween decor on my front porch. So this is why I thought these raven wreaths would look good on there. I don't want it to be too flashy, so I wanted to have something more adult spooky, if you know what I mean. So now I'm going to just do a little trial run to see how I want this moss to look like. I'm almost creating like a spooky bird's nest here. And once I kind of get the idea how I want it to look, I'm also just testing out where exactly I want to put the raven. Now the ravens did have a little bit of a wire on the bottom, but it wasn't enough to wrap it around. It was enough just to hold it in place, but then I did have to use some hot glue and some twist ties to attach it. You could also probably use just a floral wire as well. It would probably work the same. So I feel like it's been a while since I've shared a video. I am really not doing a really good job in posting regularly, but I am struggling a little bit with creativity as well as time. So if you can just bear with me, I am hoping to give you a few Christmas DIYs, which will be starting shortly after this one goes live. So just bear with me. It will be a mix of new DIYs with some good old ones as well. Like I said, I'm finding I have lost a bit of creativity, I guess, when it comes to creating DIYs. And I don't want to just make DIYs for the sake of making them with no purpose. I want to create items that I can either gift or use in my own decor. So I do want to thank all of you that have stuck around with me, and because like I said, I haven't been really posting, so I just want to say thank you so much for sticking around and being patient with me. I'm sure it's just like writer's block, it's a crafter's block that I'm going through. I did feel very excited to be creating these DIYs, and I do love the way they turned out. I will be also sharing a Decorate With Me video over on my home channel where you can see how I use these in my decor and tying it into the whole hocus pocus theme. So now I'm going to add some skulls, mini skulls on the bottom of the wreath of the bottom of the nest, or the top of the nest at the bottom of the bird. This is kind of to give you an illusion of the bird is a lot larger than the skulls kind of thing. I don't know. It's a vision that I've had. At this point, I felt like the wreath needed a little bit of something else, so I'm going to add these spiders that I got at Dollar Tree. I thought they were a great price for $1.50 for two of these. They look really good. They look really high end, so I wanted to add these, and I think this was what the wreath needed. And now I'm just going to add some ribbon. Now I did add the checkered ribbon, the buffalo plaid ribbon, onto it. I was contemplating about doing the burlap ribbon as well, but I went with the buffalo plaid, and now I was looking at them and thinking maybe I'll switch it out. I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. You can obviously do whatever you want and whichever one you like. If you are replicating this, you can do it any way you want it to. So here they are hanging on my two front doors, and I absolutely love the way they turned out. For this first project, I'm going to be actually recreating a look, and I'm going to be using this picture that my friend gave me, but she thrifted it for $6. And the look that I'm going to be recreating is from a Pottery Barn. I love the color of this vase as well as those aspen tree branches. Now, as you can see, the tree branches are on sale for $45, but the vase is $212. So a little out of my price range. Well, not just a little out of my price range, a lot out of my price range, but I figured I could probably achieve the look with a little bit of creativity. So I'm going to start off by painting this picture. I originally was going to use acrylic paint, but the shiny surface I would have had to apply maybe a Mod Podge or something first, so I've decided, after I saw that it wasn't really working, I've decided to just go ahead and paint it with some chalk paint. And I also added a little bit of flour to the chalk paint to thicken it even more, to give it that almost like stone look. So I'm going to give this one coat first. I'm going to let this coat completely dry. As you can see, it is covering it, but it's still some of the stuff is showing through. So you'll definitely need one more coat after this one. So it's all painted, just adding finishing touches, and I did add a little bit of paint on the inside, especially the part that's going to be showing. So I'm going to let this dry, and while that's drying, I did go out into my garden and I got a couple branches. These were all dried up, so I did not cut any fresh ones, ones that were still had leaves on them. So I'm going to be adding my own leaves, kind of trying to recreate that branch look. I picked up these leaves at Dollarama for $1.50, and I picked up 3 packages. I did only end up using 2 of them, and I did make 3 branches. So since the branches were free, and the leaves cost me $3. I think that's a significant saving. I know that it's not exactly the same look. You can definitely go and see if you can find the exact same leaves. You could even use tissue paper if you can find leaves. I think that would work as well. But this was gave me the look that I was going for, and I do love these maple leaves. They're not overly. They have a really nice color, and you can also paint these leaves if you wanted to, let's say, have burgundy leaves and create more of that floral look, florals that are so popular right now. You could even kind of go that route as well. So I'm going to be using the just hot glue to attach these leaves. This is a very This does take a while to do, and make sure you don't burn your fingers. I did a few times, so be very careful. Probably some sort of a heat resistant gloves would definitely be very helpful here, but I think the little bit of burning your fingers is well worth the way this ended up looking. Since it's such a repetitive work, I did do only show you one branch, but like I said, I did make 3 of these. I just did not want it to bore you with the same thing over and over and over. I also would like to mention, if you are stopping by my channel from Sandra's, welcome. If you're stopping by my channel for the very first time, or even returning subscriber, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. If you are not subscribed, I would love it if you considered subscribing and making sure that notification bell is on, so that way you get notified when I post my DIYs. I typically post once a week, trying to be on schedule. I have tons of inspirations that I would like to share. Sometimes I am a little bit short on time. So make sure that bell notification is on, so that way you get notified when these videos pop up, because I would absolutely love to have you be part of my YouTube family. And here you can find lots of high-end decor dupes, as well as some furniture makeovers and Dollar Tree DIYs here and there. So like I said, I hope you consider subscribing and becoming part of my YouTube family. So about 15 minutes later, I am just finishing it up, and then I'm going to move on to my picture and finish that project up, so it had time to dry. And now I'm going to add another coat of this chalk paint, and then I'm going to do another technique on it while it's still wet. I absolutely love doing any type of vase or pitcher, even like bottles, and make them over. I love doing makeovers, because I think these items can be so expensive, and sometimes you can get similar look, sometimes even the same look, for fraction of the price. You can find lots of different types of vases at thrift stores. Even dollar stores carry interesting styles of vases. I had a lot of success this year at garage sales, and it's just such an easy way to add a high-end look to your decor. And with a little bit of paint, maybe a little bit of flour, a little bit of dirt, and you can create beautiful, beautiful pieces. So once it's painted, I'm going to add some to the same tray where I had my chalk paint, some chocolate brown acrylic paint, as well as some black acrylic paint. And then I'm going to use my crafting sponge that's wet, and I'm going to just mix the paint, kind of dab it on all the paints that are in there, and go over the whole vase with this sponge, almost like blending all the colors on it. I did a similar project couple weeks ago on a smaller vase, but it's just amazing to see how similar techniques give you such different results and looks. So I'm going to just randomly cover the vase with this paint. In some spots I went heavy with the one paint and lighter with the other. The others time I went the opposite, and sometimes I just went very light with both colors together. And it's important to blend it really well together, so that way it looks like it's meant to be there. And then while the paint was still wet, after I was done sponging stuff on and blending it, I added some flour to it and just pretty much sprinkled flour all over the vase. It's okay if some areas you put more and some areas you put less, because you're going to be dusting the flour off once the piece is completely dried. I feel like the flower blends the color even more together, kind of ties everything in, and it gives it that stone aged look. So once it was completely dry, I just took a stippling brush, a brand new one, and just brushed most of the flour off. There was some stuff that stayed, and then I just took a rag and tried to rub a little bit off. You don't want to completely take it off, but you don't want big clumps because it will be falling off on your furniture while you're using it for decorating. And here is what the vase looks like, or the picture looks like, or completed with the branches in it. And here is to remind you what I was trying to recreate. So this would have cost me over $300 if I was to buy it as is on this picture, but mine came in under $10 with all the supplies that I used. For my next project, I'm going to be making a wreath. Wreaths can be quite expensive, especially from high-end stores. And as you can see, this one at Crate and Barrel is $239, which is way out of my price range. I absolutely love the look of it, and I was very excited when I found these flowers from Dollarama because I thought the leaves were very much the same shape. The color is a little bit different, but that's okay. It's still very much fall color, and I kind of like the burnt orange look. So these were $3. I did purchase 7 of them. I did only end up using 5 of them, so $15. The wreath form on the wreath from Crate and Barrel is a grapevine wreath form. I couldn't find one that was reasonably priced, and I had this one on hand that I got at Dollar Tree for $1.50, so I thought this would work just as good. I'm going to also use some wire as well as some hot glue to attach these stems. So I did cut the stems off just to make it a little bit easier to work with, and I'm going to be adding stems all around on all the wires. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, so 4 different rows of flowers. And I do have a bit of a color variations with the stems that I picked up. Some are burnt orange and some are more like the burnt green color. So I think it's going to look really nice once I am all done. And this cost me, so I got 5 stems at $3, so $15, and then the wreath form was $1.50 plus some glue, so well under $20 with tax. And I'm very, very excited how it turned out for the same size wreaths. I think I did really well. I would love to know what you guys think. As I mentioned, I used both hot glue and a little bit of craft wire. In some spots, I just added craft wire to hold it in place while the hot glue, so that gave hot glue a chance to work. But in some areas, I did just use the wire because I was able to wedge it in with the other stems that were already in there. I love making wreaths. I love using wreaths in my decor. I have done many wreaths on my channel before, and I have to say this was probably one of my favorite ones. The way it turned out, it's just so, I think, classy and not tacky at all, and I just love it. And if you really wanted to achieve that burgundy look, you could always get like a plum color paint and paint all the leaves that color. I think that would look good and work good as well, and that way you would really come close to duping the one from Crate and Barrel. But I was quite happy with these colors. I love these colors and using them all throughout the house, and I was left over with 2 stems, which I think I will definitely be using in a vase or maybe creating another DIY. So once I was gone all the way around with these stems, just really trying to make sure that there's no bare spots, and trying to like I said, fill in. And I was going the same direction, so all the leaves were kind of drooping the same to the same side, so that way it's a little bit neater. But then once, like I said, once I went all the way around, I did cut some of the stems in half, and I was just filling in the bare spots, so that way there was nothing, no patches of like holes showing through, or empty patches of empty spots. And so you could also wedge these into where the wire is, or you can even put a little bit of hot glue on it and then stick it in there. It will stay in place. My wreath was going to be used inside, so I wasn't too worried about wind damaging it if it was left outside. And once everything was covered the way I liked it, I just went around and just fluffed up some of the leaves that were maybe pushed down, pulled them out so they're all nice and fluffy. And also you want at this time to get rid of any hot glue that might have been left on the little strings from the hot glue. And here it is. I absolutely, like I said, love it. I think it's one of my favorite wreaths I have made on this channel. I just love how folly the colors are. And here is the reminder of what the original looked like. So as you can see, the leaves are quite similar to the leaves that I used. The color is a little bit different. Obviously not a little bit different, a lot different. But I love it nevertheless. This DIY that I'm going to be working on has to be my favorite, and we are going back to Pottery Barn, and I'm going to be recreating this leaf. So it is called the brass leaf object, and this can be on its own, or it can fit a candle in there. So I was quite excited when I picked up this leaf thrifting for $2.50. But if you cannot find that one, there is this one at Dollar Tree for $1.50, which I think would work just as well. Because I always feel like chances of finding the exact same thing that I thrifted are very slim. So I like to give you another choice or another option that you could use. So I was going to use an acrylic paint on it. Again, it wasn't really doing the coverage that I wanted, so I went ahead and spray painted it. And I do have a heavy duty fan right above me and a window. It was raining outside, so I just wanted to get it done. And the color that I was using was metallic gold from Michaels. And then I went ahead and added some black antiquing wax to it once it had dried, and just used a brush to add by dabbing it. And then I did go ahead at the end and just kind of did some brush strokes through the wax just to blend it all in. I absolutely love with the way it turned out. I think it's going to look fabulous with my fall decor. And like I said, this is definitely one of my favorites. And as you can see, the color and everything looks pretty close. I know the shape is a little bit different, but I think it gives you the same idea. Well, I hope... For my next DIY, I picked up these jack-o'-lanterns at Dollarama for $5. And I wanted to create a bit of a concrete black look on them. I've seen a lot of these pumpkins on Instagram. Some people painted them black, some people painted them more gray colored. I wanted to go with black, so I used the same Athenian black paint and just mixed in some sand into it just to make the paint rougher, almost give more texture to it. Now, I have, with the first one, I painted the outside first. Now, you can leave the orange on the inside. I've seen pumpkins like that for sale, where the outside is black and the inside is orange. However, I wasn't loving that look, so I did end up adding a little bit of paint on the inside. Didn't do a full coverage, but just a little bit to cover it up. Now, these are not lighted, but I did buy the little battery operated votive candles that I'm going to be adding to them. And another thing that I'm thinking about adding to them is some rocks to the bottom, just to weigh them down so they're not flopping all over my front porch when the wind hits them. I just think this was such a neat update to them. I love the way they turned out. And to be quite honest with you, you could probably go to your local thrift store and see if they actually have even already light up ones. I just didn't make it to the thrift store, and when I saw them at Dollarama, I thought that they were a great price for what they were and the size that they were. These can range, I was looking online, anywhere from $20 up to $110 at Pottery Barn. So spending $5 and plus 50 cents for a tea light, battery operated tea light, and a little bit of paint is not a bad deal. So like I said, I have two of these. So with this second one, I did paint the inside first. It was just find it a little bit easier than painting the outside and then the inside. And this gave just the right amount of spooky vibes to my front. The inspiration for my first DIY came from McGee & Co. And as you can see, their print was $42. And it is a bit of a different look inside. It's more like the picture says, storm on the lake. Mine is more in the field. But the inspiration was there. And I have found a free printable, which I will link it down below. You just have to sign up for an email for it to be sent to you. I will link the website down below, and she has tons of different prints to choose from. But the McGee & Co. was my inspiration. So I've printed it off, and then I took some Mod Podge and I had painted the picture with the Mod Podge to give it that oil look. As you may know, I'm not the first one to do this, but it is my first time trying to do it. I think I've done it before on gift bags from Dollar Store when I was adding them to signs and things like that. And this was definitely my first time doing it on a picture that I have printed. I have a laser printer. It is not the greatest printer in the world, but I think the picture turned out really good. And the frame that I'm going to be using came from Dollar Tree. I would have loved to have found a vintage frame to use at maybe a thrift store, but I wasn't so lucky, so I just resorted to the frames that I had on hand. So my price for this was free, as I just printed a print and everything else I had on hand. And here is the frame that I am using, and I'm going to use spun gold paint to paint with it, as well as a brush and some Kleenex. You can find prints, if you can print them. You can also find gift bags are a great source for sometimes great landscapes or any picture you might want to include in your decor. Greeting cards, something a little bit smaller, and sometimes even placemats. I have found some pretty neat looking placemats at Dollar Tree that could totally be transformed into a picture to put in a frame. And if you are looking for something specific, Etsy is a great place to check for different types of prints, and you can also buy those, download them, and print them just pretty much the same way I printed this one. I have been wanting to do this for a while, and I just recently bought some new cartridge for my printer, so I thought it was a good time to do it. If you don't have a printer, you can also send it away to get printed. I honestly don't know where I could send mine to get printed in town, because Costco had gotten rid of their development center, the where, well, maybe you can still send it to them. They just don't have it in store. I would have to really look into it. But the size that I was looking for, it was perfectly fine to print it on my printer. So now I'm wiping the paint kind of off and dabbing it on, trying to get into all the crevices. There is a bit of a design on the inside edge, so I wanted to really have that stand out, so that way it has that vintage look. It is an absolutely gorgeous day outside, and I really wanted to do this voiceover out here, but I think every plane has decided to fly over during my voiceover now. So I'm going to try it a little bit more, and if they keep coming, I'm going to have to go inside and do this voiceover. So here it is. I'm just dabbing the paint now, just to give it that aged vintage look. And once the picture dries and the frame dries, I'm going to put it together. I have decided to style it in my kitchen to break up some of that weight that's my backsplash in the kitchen. I love my backsplash, but sometimes with the counter being white and the backsplash being white, I'm always looking for ways to add color and texture into the space. And here it is. Here it's how it looks. I absolutely love it. It is exactly what I was going for, and the nice thing is, at such an inexpensive price, I can definitely redo it for every season. Two DIYs are very similar, and I got an inspiration, which I'm sure you've seen it on Instagram and TikTok as well, but these are the Pottery Barn ghost dupes. Now, two of these ghosts at Pottery Barn were around $120. They, however, are out of stock. I decided to recreate mine with some Dollar Tree and materials and some items that I've had on hand. So I did get this ghost from Dollar Tree, and I'm just cutting off the hands, and I will also rip off the styrofoam head. I will not be using that. Instead, I had this clear flat ornament from Michael's. My friend actually picked these up for me at the end of the season last year. I think the whole box of them, I think there was like 30 of them, was, I think it was like under $5. So I just cut a little bit on each side, just enough so I can spread it out open so it slides over this paper towel holder that I picked up at Dollar Tree. And now I'm going to drape this over it, and I'm just going to trim the material, the fabric, so it's not that long. And I actually want to double it up, so I'm going the fabric that I trim off, I'm going to drape it over as well. But first, I'm going to attach these arms, and they did have a wire that I just wrapped around. You can also add a little bit of glue. I did have to add a little bit of hot glue to one side just because it kept sliding off. Not necessarily to hold it in place, glue it in place, but more or less hold it in place so it doesn't slide down. I put the hot glue underneath it to create almost like a stopper for the arm to slide down. Again, my scissors are winning in life here. I can't seem to get the right scissors ever. These are brand new, and as you can see, they do not work well at all on this fabric. And they did come from a fabric store, so maybe I'm just not meant to have scissors that cut well. So as you saw, I removed the cutoff part, and now I'm going to add that first, and then I'm going to drape over this other part. I am also going to trim the little rope on top that's there to hang up the ghost. I'm going to trim that off as well, but I wanted to have him hold a little pot. Now these I picked up during in March during St. Patty's, but I thought it looked like a little witch's cauldron, and it looks like he's holding it. I will probably have to fix this once I actually display it. For my next DIY, I'm going to be using this linkable chain from Dollar Tree. I wanted to really include this DIY because right now you can buy these because they are part of the Halloween decor. And I'm also going to be using this metallic gold paint. This piece of decor can be used for fall or really any season. I just wanted to include it now because this is when these are available for purchase at the Dollar Tree for $1.50. So I have spray painted this gold. It took about 3 different turns, so 3 different coats, just to make sure the whole thing is covered. And my inspiration for this came from several places. Amber Interiors has it, Pottery Barn have them, and they're these linkable chains. You can take this apart and have a couple different sizes here, or you can leave it as is, the whole length of it. It's fairly long. I did end up separating mine into 2 pieces, so you could totally create couple different styles of it. You can make it look like wood, you can make it painted black. Really, it is completely up to you how you finish this. I just thought it was such a great purchase for $1.50. It's already linked up for you, and you can take your creativity and so just to have a look at these again. At Amber Interiors, they are around $500. They are different sizes, obviously. And then at Pottery Barn, these rustic wood ones are $289. Mine cost me $1.50 as I had the spray paint already on hand. I think that's pretty good savings, and this way you can make them the color that you want that go with your style. So once I have them spray painted, I brought them inside, and I wanted to make mine look a little bit brassy, so I wanted to add some of this black wax. I was just going to brush it very, very lightly on there, just to add a little bit of darkness, just like the brass looks, where it's kind of almost banged up a little bit, has a little bit of a darker spots. So that is what I was adding here. These decorative chains are super trendy now, and you probably seen them besides Amber Interiors and Pottery Barn. McGee & Co. carries them, as well as Anthropology. And as you can see, you saw, they are pretty pricey. And making one yourself is so much more affordable. And like I said before, you can choose that perfect finish to match your space. So after applying the paint and wax for that aged brass look, I like to go in with a bit of different gold paint. I'm using yellow gold paint as well as the spun gold paint to really make it pop. Just a light touch of gold in certain areas adds dimension and gives it even more of that authentic brass feel. It is all about layering the details, and the steps makes such a difference. This technique is great because it gives you your DIYs that high-end custom look, like something you would see at these high-end store, but for a fraction of the price. Look at how gorgeous this turned out. The gold paint adds just the right amount of shine without being too over the top. It catches the light beautifully, giving the piece that true vintage brass look. You can see the depth and texture from the layers of wax and paint, making it look like something you'd find at a high-end store. It got that perfect mix of age elegance and modern style. Next up, we're going to work on this adorable pumpkin cutting board look. My inspiration for this piece came from Anthropology, but you can also find similar styles at Bed Bath & Beyond, and even a close look-alike on Etsy. The best part, this cutout came from Dollarama for just about $1.50. Talk about a steal. Now, this one won't necessarily be used as a real cutting board, but we're going to make it look like one. I love decorating my kitchen with these seasonal boards. I've even made one for Christmas, and they're such a charming touch. If you wanted to feel more substantial, you could always add a few of these pumpkin cutouts together to make it thicker. And the fun part is you can stain it any color you like. For this one, I'm going to give it that vintage look by distressing it before I apply the stain. There are a few different techniques that you can do here to stain it. I am using my Minwax gel stain in aged oak just because I had this on hand and it is kind of drying out, so I did want it to use it up so that way I can just toss it once I'm done. You want to move. You can see somewhat of a grain here, so you want to definitely move in that direction. I was kind of going all over the place because I was trying to get the grooves to stain inside as well. But once I'm done, I do go with the direction of the stain. You could also water down your paint that you want to use it as a stain. You want to water it quite a bit, apply it, and then wipe it off. That will work as well. And then you can layer it more if you find that it's not quite where you'd want it to be. You can also add darker paint to certain areas that will give it that vintage look. I used a black acrylic paint to add that vintage look, and I added it with a rag and just wetted the rag first, dipped it into the paint, and then went over the edges of the pumpkin, and then also inside all those cuts that I've made. I think this just gives it such a nice vintage look. Like I said, I'm not going to be using these. I have not seen cutting boards. Last year I found a Christmas cutting board at HomeSense for about $20. I have not seen them yet at HomeSense here in town, but I never ended up using the cutting board anyways. It just to put it up, I just put it up against my wall as a part of decoration. So I've decided that I can just do this with my pumpkin that I make here, because I have lots of cutting boards and cheese boards and all sorts of stuff that I can use if I need to use it for anything. This will purely be a decoration. Now, if you have a laser machine or you are very handy in cutting your own stuff, you could definitely cut a pumpkin shape yourself and make your own cutting board with just natural wood. Just make sure that whatever stain or color you put on that cutting board, it is food safe. And here it is, friends. I'm absolutely in love with how this pumpkin cutting board turned out. The distressing really gives it that vintage, well-loved look, and the stain adds a beautiful, rich color that's perfect for fall. It looks just like something you'd find at Anthropology. I was very excited to use this as part of my fall kitchen decor. It's that perfect seasonal touch that adds warmth and charm to the space. From Dollarama. I loved it because of its odd shape. It's just, not your typical pumpkin shape. And it was, I believe these were $3, but correct me if I'm wrong, they might have been $4. I don't know what happened to the price tag. And like I said, I love the shape of it. I absolutely hate the color of it. So I thought, I'm going to give it a new life. I went to HomeSense and found these pumpkins, which I thought they looked really nice. They were $24.99, so about the same size. I think they were a smidgen smaller, but they were the right color. So I thought I can make this one into those. So for the makeover, I'm going to use the Americana Decor Chalky Finish. It's in color New Life. And I picked this up at a dollar store that's called Your Dollar Store with More. They tend to have really neat things there, a little bit more expensive than Dollarama and Dollar Tree, but lots of different stuff. And then I'm also going to use my Annie Sloan Dark Wax. Any antiquing wax would work. I would like to use more of a chalk paint. I was actually gonna go with Chateau Gray from Annie Sloan, but it has completely dried out. I did pour some water in it in hopes that it will come back to life, but we'll see. And then I'm also going to use my I just washed these, so they're a little bit wet still. My paintbrush. This is just my go-to paintbrush for chalk paint. And then I'm also going to obviously use a bowl where I can just add the chalk paint in. So are you guys all ready and set up for fall? Have you started decorating? I'm almost done decorating. I did know that I was gonna add a couple more pieces after I DIY them, but that's why everybody's gonna just have to come back to my home tour to check that out. And you can see how I decorated my whole home for fall or any season over on my home channel, which is linked down below. It's At Home with Sonja, or it used to be called DIY Domestic Diva Home. I have just recently started changing all the names over to Life with Sonja, DIYs with Sonja, At Home with Sonja, and things like that. So the home tour is on At Home with Sonja. I don't know if I said that or if I did say Life with Sonja. I'm sure it's gonna be on there as well. So like I said, the reason why I wanted chalk paint was because it does do a bit better job in covering up. You don't need to do as many coats as you would maybe with acrylic paint. Now, another neat idea would be to add some cornstarch to your paint. Then you would get a little bit more texture in your paint, which would also, I think, look pretty neat on here. Now, I will be showing that technique if you're not familiar with it, but if you are an avid crafter, you are familiar with that. In my next DIY, when I'm gonna be working on a vase, and I can't wait to show you guys the vase that I had picked up, thrifted. I also wanted to share with you, I did find at Kirkland Home this pumpkin, and it was $17.99 on sale. A regular price, I believe, was $30. So not overly expensive, but still a great saving of making my own. And for the little crevices, I am using a different brush just to get in here. Now, as you can see, I will be needing another coat simply because of the type of the material that the pumpkin is made out of. It's a little bit of a smooth. You could possibly rough it up a little bit just so the paint sticks to it a little bit better, but I'll just let it dry completely and then I'll add another coat to it. I think it's already looking better. The green is a little bit brighter than what I would go with, but don't worry, that's where the dark wax comes in. So this definitely needs one more coat. So this will need a bit more drying, and then we can finish it off after. So here it is, all painted up. And now I'm going to use my dark wax. And I'm going to work in sections, and I'm putting generous amount. I think that looks absolutely stunning. So I'm gonna continue. Just gonna add a bit more right around the stem. And I think some of that orange popping out is nice too, because you know how there's those pumpkins with orange kind of just showing up here and there, and I kind of like that idea too. So I think this turned out really nice. I'm just going to paint the little stem now. I'm gonna use the Cocoa by Rust-Oleum. So let me show you. Now I want to go get some more pumpkins because I just love the way this one looks, and for $4 you can't go wrong. DIYing is this Mercury pumpkin or gourd. I thrifted this a couple years back. I think it was like $3, and I've used it in my decor quite a bit, but I am just finding I think last year and even this year I am not reaching for it. I love the shape of it, so I thought, well, might as well give it a new life before I decide to chuck it or give it to somebody else. I'm pretty sure I can give it a new life, that I can still use it for a couple more years. So back at Home Sense, I did see one that I really liked. Now it was wooden, but I really liked the way it looked, and I thought I can definitely make this out of this one. Right away when I saw it, this one came to my mind, and I thought for sure I can make this look very similar to that. Also wanted to share that I found a similar item at Pottery Barn at $84 regular price, on sale for $67. So this is a pretty good savings for an item I was going to throw out. So back to painting, and this time I'm going to be using Annie Sloan chalk paint in old ochre, I think. It is a very creamy, almost beigeish white. This is what that looks like. And I'm going to use the chalked white paint. So I'm going to take this outside and spray paint it, and then I'm gonna come back. I'll show you the spray painting process as well. I don't know if you can see, but there's condensation on the pumpkin because it is like 42 degrees outside. Probably not the best time to spray paint. So here it is, all spray painted. I did not spray paint the top. I'm going to do something different on the top, so I just left it, which gave me the ability to actually, it is completely dried to the touch anyways. I think it's mostly dry. It is dry. So now I'm going to add the old ochre chalk paint, and I'm going to go right into the crevices with, or on this, well, I'm gonna try to go on the side of the crevices, but I'm not sure that I will be able to. Actually, might be just easier to go into the crevices. And I'm not adding a ton of paint. It's more of a building process. You can build up to it. Well, the paint is sliding off. Don't think it's quite dry in some areas yet. So I'm just gonna dab it on. So I was going to talk to you guys about why I haven't been here for so long. So if you're not following along on Instagram, you probably missed it, but long story short, I used to do home daycare. Then in 2021 I took a break for about 18 months, and I decided to go back So I went back into home daycare in March. It took me about just under a month to fill up, and I've been going strong ever since. It has been a bit of an adjustment. I did go get licensed through the region. In Canada, well, in Ontario anyways, you cannot hold a daycare license yourself. You have to go through a licensing agency. So I decided to go through the region. So it's been a bit more work in a sense of paperwork and just making sure that certain things are running properly in the house. Not that those things weren't important before, but there's just some areas that, let me just be quite honest with you, that I think are a little bit ridiculous, but you know, you have to comply. So so like I said, it's been a bit of an adjustment for me again, and I am a creature of routines and habits and all that stuff, and when something throws a wrench in it, I tend to takes me a while to kind of get my bearings back up, and I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but just to, you know, get things back up and running again. I know it's doable. I've done this with daycare before, and with other businesses running alongside of it, so I know that I can manage to do it. It's just trying to figure out what works for me. And also I had a big adjustment with sleep time. Before, I used to have, you know, two and a half solid hours that I could concentrate on other things while the kids slept, like maybe cleaning the house or working on editing a video and stuff like that. I did have a child that did not nap, and she was a little bit I could not leave her unattended or unentertained at all. So that kind of took away that time from me. So, but she is starting school in next week, so I am getting the time back because everybody else does nap. So I am hoping that I can get some editings done, and then probably do recordings at night, just like I'm doing this one, and then go from there. Just wanted to let you guys know that that is what's been going on. I'm just trying to figure things out and what works and what doesn't work. So I think that turned out really, really nice. It does really increase the little depths, but I'm feeling like I need a little bit something else. I'm thinking, what if I, once this dries again, took a dark wax and just added a little tiny bits into it, and maybe that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to actually use the dark wax for the little stem anyways, so I'm gonna work on that while the chalk paint dries. Kind of like the way this turned out. It almost gave it a kind of a bronzish look. I don't mind that at all. So I think that's looking kind of nice. I might have to use some paint at the bottom. So I'm going to continue doing this all around, and then I'll show you what it looks like and see if I fix these little cracks or if I'm just going to leave them as they are. I'll probably add a little bit of white paint to them just because they're not looking very nice. Okay, so as you saw, I went over the dark wax to fix some of those scrape offs with the old ochre, and I think that turned out really good. I can't wait to show you in the daylight and with all my decor. I just love the way this looks. I think it's gonna match perfectly now in my decor, and I couldn't be more happy. And here is what all of my things look like in my decor, and if you want to see more decorating videos, make sure you head on over to my home channel. Second ghost, I'm using the tomato wire, garden wire thing, and you're supposed to, well, I was gonna use a styrofoam ball, which I had in hand but swore I had one at home. Came home, got ready to DIY, realized I did not have one, so I ended up improvising and using this one, which I covered in moss, but it's still the styrofoam ball, the right size. It's just it's covered in moss because it's part of my decor. So I did twist tie the top just to keep it together, and then I'm using one of my old white curtains to drape over it. I was going to cut it, but the way it looks, I actually don't mind it to be a little bit longer. And then over top of it, I am going to add some cheesecloth just to make it look a little bit more spookier. And again, it was one of those things, I swore I had it, then I couldn't find it, and then I did find it, so that was good, because dollar store did not have any cheesecloth. And it was just the right size. It's not covering everything, it's just covering like parts of him, which I kind of like that look. I didn't want it to be as long as the curtain was. So you can use a sheet, you can use a blanket, you can use really anything. I happen to have the curtain, so that's what I did. And for now, the Pottery Barn's ghost only has eyes. I did add a mouth as well, so he matches my other ghost. And I'm just cutting out some construction paper and hot gluing it to the cheesecloth. I think he turned out so cute. You can also add lights. The Pottery Barn one has lights underneath. I'm not quite sure where I'm gonna place him outside, so depending on where he is, I might add lights, but I might just leave him as is these gorgeous faux pumpkins inspired by Pottery Barn. You all know how pricey their decor can be, but I found these irregular shaped pumpkins at Dollarama for $5, and the smaller ones were $3.75. And I was able to make them over for large one for under $6 and small one for around $4. I used acrylic paint in custom mix of brown, yellow, red, blue, and white to get that perfect warm fall colors. I applied 2 coats and let them dry completely between each one. You can add some flour or baking soda if you liked texture, but I kept mine smooth, and the stems I left them as they are because they have that perfect whimsical feel, just like Pottery Barn. I painted the others in a cream color as well as a light beige color. But I did that off camera so I don't bore you with all the painting. And I just love how these turned out, and they're perfect for my front porch. If you would like to check out how I decorated my front porch, make sure you head on over to my home channel. Also, I will link a green pumpkin that I DIY'd last year up in the corner if you want to check out that one, how it turned out. Next, I wanted to recreate the stunning bronze cast iron branch from Pottery Barn. Instead of spending a fortune, I went to my garden, found a giant branch, and spray painted it with black and bronze antique paint. I started with solid black base coat, then lightly went over it with bronze, and then followed by another light coat of black. This DIY was so easy, and I love how it turned out. It's going to look amazing in my Halloween decor this year. For our last project, we're tackling these iconic Pottery Barn jack-o'-lanterns. These can cost a small fortune, but I found some thrifty pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns that were perfect for this project. If you can't find thrifted ones, you can easily use craft pumpkins from Michael's or similar stores. For the paint, I mixed brown, red, yellow, and white to create a custom terracotta color. I carved mine just like a real pumpkin using a marker to sketch the face and X-Acto knife to cut them out. I also cut out a hole at the back so I can add some lights. I'm just using string lights for the pumpkins. And now it's time to paint them and like to give them two good coats. And you can use any sponge you want. And as far as the paint, like I said, it's a custom paint. So you just mix the colors until you reach the desired look that you're going for. And also don't forget to, if you are cutting out, don't forget to paint inside the little mouth, nose, and eyes so no white shows. While the first one was drying, I took the time to paint all of my thrifted jack-o'-lanterns that I got from the thrift store. After two coats, I let it half dry before sparkling flour over it to texture. Then dusted it off for a rustic age look. And that's a wrap, friends. I hope you enjoyed this mega fall DIY compilation as much as I enjoy creating these pieces. There's just something about fall decor that makes a space feel so warm and inviting, don't you think? If you try out any of these Pottery Barn dupes or get inspired to create your own, I would love to see your creations. Tag me on Instagram or share them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my upcoming seasonal decor ideas. See you next time, and happy fall decorating.